Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you the magic of sweet potatoes. So if you're already familiar with sweet potatoes, this video isn't for you. But if you've never planted them before or this is your first time, you should give this video a watch. The sweet potato is a vining plant, but it is also capable of rooting at each leaf node. But not only that, the sweet potato is actually capable of growing storage roots along the vines too. So basically, sweet potato is almost like an infinite plant, at least during the summer. So I'll show you first some of the examples of some of my vines starting to root down. So usually they'll need to be in contact with the ground, and if they're close to moist soil, or if there's been a lot of rain, then your vines will start to produce roots at those leaf nodes. So depending on the type of soil that these vines root down on, sometimes it'll grow close to the surface or further down the root where it's most comfortable expanding. So here's a root I didn't notice I was growing around this area. As you can see, it's right next to the surface. And it looks to be a pretty decent sized root. And here's one more example. As you can see, we got some roots growing. That main root with all the feeder roots attached to it, that will develop into a storage root if left long enough. And these plants that you see at the store, which is basically a slip, so they're either grown directly from the sweet potato, or it's either a vine that's been cut off, planted, and rooted. Alright, now that we got that out of the way, it's time for the main show. So these will be the examples for this video. I got two rectangle pots here, and I got some vines ready to plant. So these vines are coming from a sweet potato I planted a month ago. But these vines are a bit too small, so I'm going to wait for them to grow out a bit more. Alright, now that the vine is long enough, it's time to bury them. So you don't need to bury the vines that deep, as long as it's under the soil, that's all that matters. And it's time to bury the second vine. And it is all done. Give it a good soaking and wait 1 to 2 weeks for the roots to establish. Technically you can cut it off from the vine already, but with the roots established first, we reduce the chances of stress and shock. It's been a couple of weeks and it's time to cut it off from the main plant. These vines are now independent, and with roots established already, there won't be any shock and this plant will continue to grow like nothing happened. All that happens if it's shocked, the plant will be stunned for a week or so, but then start growing again. But yeah, here we are a month later, this is what the plant looks like. Alright, so it's been 100 days since these vines have gone independent. It is time to harvest it. So with the mulch removed, we can see a few extra roots growing out from the node. But alright, let's get to it and tip this pot over. And apparently it looks like all the roots decided to swell at the bottom of the pot, which is quite cool actually, but not what I was aiming for. But yeah, let's check out all the roots clustered at the bottom here first. This is kind of cool. I'm guessing this is where the roots felt most comfortable expanding. Yeah, so this would explain why it was so hard to remove the pot, just the bulking at the bottom. But anyway, let's start digging. And for the purpose of this video, I decided to flip it back around, so we can see where all the potatoes are connected to each root node. And here we have the first one. This one ended up a bit wonky. And here's another one. I guess you can thank the roots growing at the bottom for all these weird shapes. So yeah, we can see here which root node it's connected to. I think I would have got the results I wanted if I planted in the ground. I mean, there's nothing wrong with these are all edible, they're all fine, but for the video I did want them very close to the stem. But hey, that's the fun part about root vegetables, you don't know what you're going to get. So yeah, here's the vine that we buried. It's a bit messy with all the feeder roots in a way, but we'll get this cleaned up and I'll show you a clearer picture of it. And here it is, all cleaned up. As you can see, we have a few roots growing out of each leaf node, or root node. But each root that comes out of the root node, those are the ones that are going to be the storage roots, which is the sweet potatoes. Now my personal experience, you don't want to be burying every single vine But if you do, you want to keep it as a separate plant, as having too many vines buried connected to one plant entirely is just going to result in a lot of tiny sweet potatoes. So you want to keep it bare minimum that way, but cutting off the vines and turning it into slips for new plants, and you have an infinite amount of sweet potato plants for the warm season. But yeah, a lot of the sweet potatoes that rooted in the ground in the previous seasons all rooted close to the surface, which is technically what I was hoping for this video. So the sweet potatoes in this harvest didn't actually end up looking like what I set up for the thumbnail, so in a way it is kind of clickbait, but I still proved the point of this video, so hopefully everyone's okay with that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the magic of sweet potatoes. And of course I'm just going to put the details for this harvest. So this one has been growing for 100 days, and here is a total weight on the screen. I'm actually quite impressed for the yield for 100 days. But anyway, I hope you learned something new and enjoyed the video. It's technically finished here, but if you want to see the second harvest from the second rectangle pot, keep watching. And alright, here's the harvest from the second pot. I harvested this one a few days later, so this is still sitting around 100 days. So it looks like the same thing happened here, where all the roots concentrated at the bottom. The expanding of the roots. But yeah, not complaining too much. This looks like a pretty good yield too. And we got this nice looking root. This one's connected to the back of the vine. And we got a nice big root over here. I like this size. And here we have it, the second harvest. So most of the roots stayed intact. I wasn't able to do this with the first harvest because some of them already broke off. But yeah, this is what it pretty much looks like. This is how it was growing on the ground. Sweet potato is such a cool plant. Unfortunately, it requires a long growing season to get something good. So these were going for 100 days, but I actually have some sweet potato plants that's in the background that are going to go for 220 days. But anyway, here's the full harvest, and here's the total yield in the screen. So yeah, this was also equally impressive as the first harvest. You also have a few bent roots because it all grew at the bottom, but again, I had no control of that. If you watched up to this point, thank you for watching the second harvest. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to check out the rest of my videos. I harvest a lot of potatoes and sweet potatoes. Right now we're nearing the end of the growing season. I'll be harvesting maybe 50 kilos of sweet potatoes in pots in a few weeks, and my giant attempts in a month. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned to my channel. But anyway, I hope this video has helped you out. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. The heck? Oh my god. Bruh, what is this? It's sprouting? Oh, it is sprouting.